Greetings, carnivores, and welcome back. I'm Dougie the Butcher, and this is Carnivore Confidential. Hope you're all staying safe in these trying times, practicing safe social distancing, washing your hands, don't touch your face. It's a scary time to be living. A reality that we knew 4 or 5 months ago is probably gone for maybe even ever. But anyway, I just wanted to shout out to all of you and hope you're staying safe. Today, I want to talk to you about something you probably quite often seen in the grocery store, a whole primal pork loin. I got this whole thing, believe it or not, for less than $8. It was $2.18 a kilo or 99 cents a pound. The whole thing for less than $8. I'm going to show you how to cut it, what to do with it. It's very, very versatile. Then we're going to do a little whiteboard finance to show you how much money you've actually saved, just like we did with the chicken parts video. Hope you stick around and come on back. I'll show you what to do with this thing. All right, so I've removed it from the bag. I'm going to glove up, safety first. And let's get started. Now, when you buy... I'm in trouble putting my glove on. When you buy one of these things for as cheap as this is, they do a little shortcut here. This piece of fat right here would normally, on a super trimmed pork loin like this, would basically be all removed. But because it's so cheap, it's $2.18 a kilo or 99 cents a pound, they've left this on. This is the spot right here where the blade bone was at the rib section. So I'm just going to quickly first take this off. We're going to save all this because I'm going to grind it later with some, well, not later, and I'm going to save it for when I make some ground beef. I'm going to add the pork fat to the ground beef, and it makes luscious ground beef. So trust me on that one. So this is pretty easy. I'm just going to go in here and follow this down. Follow this down right to the top of the loin. And we're just going to take this off. Take this off. And I just want to come down on the top of this cap of fat right here. Once you get it started, you can pretty much pull it off. And we're just going to follow the this is the eye of the loin right here. This is the rib section. This is the loin section, right? And we're just going to follow this down and take this right off. Put that there for later. Now, this section right here is my favorite part of the whole pork carcass. And the reason why I tell you that is because what a lot of people don't realize is that this rib section of pork is the exact same section of the carcass, of the beef carcass, that produces the rib eye. So if you ever see these rib chops in the counter, these are the ones that I always buy. This is the cap, this is the eye, and these are absolutely delicious. So carrying on. Now, there's any number of things you can do with this. For starters, you can take a little roast off, or what you could do also, I'm going to show you how to do this. You just butterfly this and make an even cut like that. Fold it in half, put a couple of pieces of string on it. You've got a nice pork roast for Sunday dinner. Or let's finish that cut, and you could make boneless pork chops, of course, right? Or you could make butterflied boneless pork chops, right? Or you can also make fast fry, and it always blows my mind that these are so much more expensive in the counter than a normal pork chop. And why, folks? Why? Just because it's been cut thin, they charge you a crazy price for a thin pork chop? That's outrageous. Okay, so we've got fast fry, regular sliced, butterflied. Now you can also, when you butterfly a pork chop, what you could do is rather than cutting it all the way through like I just did there, what you could do is you could put a pocket in it like this. Right? That's just a little pocket. Don't cut all the way through, but that's just a little pocket. And you can stuff this with the bread stuffing. You can stuff it with pretty much anything you want. I mean, look up recipes on the internet for, you know, pork chop stuffing. I mean, fresh apricots and some nuts and some bread stuffing, something like that. Okay, so there's another value-added way you can deal with this. Now, these fast fry pork chops here, they can also be pounded to make pork scallopini. And I'll quickly show you that. So these fast fry pork chops can also be pounded with a meat mallet to make scallopini. You just gently pound them out. Actually, as thin as you want or as thick as you want, but if I'm making scallopini, I like them nice and thin. And, you know, so, you know, egg wash, breadcrumbs, flour first to make the to make the breadcrumb stick. So I dust them in flour, dip them in flour, dip it in an egg wash, right? And then crust it with panko breadcrumbs and fry it up in a frying pan. And pork scallopini sandwiches, or you can make schnitzel scallopini, same thing, just different areas of the world. Okay, so that's that. Let's put that aside. And now we're getting into my favorite section here, the rib section. And as I said, I like to roast this whole, or you can make chops out of it the same way you would with this. And again, now, as I said, as we get into this end right, well, this is all the rib section. As you can see, the eye gets bigger, or smaller actually, as it comes down through here. The eye gets smaller and the cap gets larger. But this is, as I said, this is prime rib of pork, boneless prime rib of pork, or the pork ribeye. And this is just my absolute favorite. As a matter of fact, this is going to be my meal tonight. A couple of these on the barbecue, and man, that is something spectacular. So there we have it. That is just a few things that you can do with a boneless pork loin. So again, we've got fast fry chops. We've got scallopini or schnitzel. We have regular sliced pork chops. We have butterflied pork chops. All of this is value added, folks. All of this is charged, all of the retailer charges you more for all of this. This is more than this. This is more than this. This is way more than this. This is way more than this. And we got all of this for under $8. How can you go wrong? Welcome back, folks. Let's break this down. So the whole pork loin that we just cut up, I paid $2.18 a kilo for, which is 99 cents a pound. And the whole spend, the total spend for that whole piece of meat that I bought was less than $8. I think it was about $7.71, something like that. So let's break down the yield. Now, this isn't necessarily what I put in my freezer, but this is what you could get if you bought one of these yourself. The boneless rib chops. Remember, prime rib of pork, boneless prime rib of pork, or the boneless ribeye. Delicious, my favorite. You're going to run plus or minus, depending on supply and demand, you're going to run $13 a kilo-ish. Boneless center cut chops, $14 a kilo, plus or minus. A boneless roast for Sunday dinner, like I showed you, just cut it almost in half, fold it over, put a couple of pieces of string around it. You could put stuffing in the middle of it if you like. 14, around 13, in the same range as these guys, $13 plus or minus a kilo. Now, boneless butterfly chops. This is considered a labor, an added labor, value-added product. But really, all the butcher has done is just cut it almost in half and butterflied it open. But because it's considered a labor-added product, they're going to charge you at $15 or up per kilo for that. Boneless fast fried chops. This is the part that has always slayed me. They cut a pork chop thin and charge you more for it. Why? It's just a thin pork chop. So go ahead, don't buy those, folks. Cut them yourselves. And who wants a thin pork chop anyway? Pork chops tend to be dry, and if you don't have at least a little thickness in them, there's no moisture. You cook the heck out of them. Don't buy fast fried chops. Cut them yourself. Why would anybody ever cook a fast fried chop in the first place? Pork tends to be dry because there's very little intermuscular fat on the loin itself. And as a result, if you cook something that's that thin, it's going to be dry as Anyway, so don't buy fast fried chops. Pork schnitzel. Now, you saw that I pounded a fast fried chop that I cut upstairs into a schnitzel, and the schnitzel was about that big. There's a restaurant up the street that my wife and I love, and one of their go-to menu items is a pork schnitzel meal. And the pork schnitzel is huge. I can never eat the whole thing. It's like bigger than my head. But if you want a bigger pork schnitzel, like I said, cut a thicker chop, pound it out. So for pork schnitzel, you're going to run, if they don't do anything other than just cut it for you and pound it out, they're going to run 19 bucks a kilo at least. Consider this. If the retailer seasons them for you and then breads them for you in panko or whatever, that is considered value added, and they charge a fortune for them. Don't do that. Buy them yourself, or buy this, cut them yourself, make your own. Anyway, folks, that's it for this week. Hope you like what you see. Please like and subscribe to my new channel. Thanks for coming by. Check me out on Twitter at Dougie D, all one word, capital D, O-U-G-I-E, capital D-E-E, Dougie D on Twitter. See you next week, folks.